Okay, should I start or Brother?
Just a minute. The YouTube has not started yet. In a second.
Okay, it shows live on YouTube for me, but.
Okay.
So excuse me, do I switch to live? Do I click on the live to get the YouTube, or do I get it on the Hamim screen?
The Zoom program is, if you are in Zoom program, that's all right.
Okay, Jazakallah.
وإياكم. Inshallah, Brother Adam, the mic is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Jazakallah khair. I'm not sure if yourself or Sister Fariha would like to do the opening prayer or not, but otherwise I can start with the prayer maybe, and yeah, inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. اللهم نسألك أن تحيي قلوبنا بنور معرفتك أبدا أبدا أبدا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أتباعه وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. آمين. Bismillah. So today we're continuing on the topic of believing in the unseen, and we're the second word. This is continuing from last week. It's the latter part of the second word, and it's towards the end. The third from the last paragraph is where we'll begin today. I don't know if it is important, or maybe it's important maybe for all of us to set some context of what's been discussed last week. The topic last week was discussed belief in the unseen, but the text seemingly doesn't reference this word unseen in any parts that we read up till now. I don't know if today's will be any different, but I understand that the issue of unseen, from the way this text is teaching, is not to be is not to come from a I don't know, maybe biased approach or some kind of approach of having understood this in any imitative way, but instead trying to make it very practical and make it very relevant in our life. So what we saw till now was a man who, or two men, who each took a certain view of the things going on in the world. Both of them saw something. They were apparently looking at the same world. But one was seeing and experiencing one type of thing, and then the other was experiencing something totally different. And the issue, I think, became or really got centered around the starting point for how someone establishes their view of the things going on. So there was a lot said, I think, last week around the issue of questioning the existence, questioning the things going on, not trying to just look merely at a material or surface level world that is transient, or that is, constantly going away. Because if you look from that side, it's maybe possible to conclude. If you look only from the surface side, it's possible to conclude that this place is a very dark and desolate and constantly, death and dying is constantly going on. Therefore, the place is very, black and meaningless. So, but what was stressed last week was this issue of taking another starting point, which is to question the source of the things that are going on here. Although they are transient in their nature, in what we see, there's another aspect to them which is not transient, and so one really has to take maybe a step back, use more of his human qualities. And so I don't want to go maybe too much, because I think today we'll also go into this. But this is just really to recap what I understood from last week, and now maybe contextualizing again today. Not going to read any word that says the word unseen, but again, we should try instead to look at it from how does this other man, the other side of it, we'll read it, how does this one arrive at his conclusions? So with that, I if anyone would like to read, feel free to offer yourself, please, if you'd like. Otherwise, I'm happy to read. Any volunteers? Okay, and I'm happy to read. I don't get a chance to read on this meeting, so I'm happy, inshallah, to do that today. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. As for the other man, again, we're reading from the second word. It's on the screen here. As for the other man, he is a believer. He recognizes and affirms Almighty God. In his view, this world is an abode where the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited. A place of instruction for man and the animals. A place of instruction for man and the animals, and a field of probation for man and jinn. All animal and human deaths are a demobilization. Those who have completed their duties of life depart from this transient world for another, happy and trouble-free world, so that place may be made for new officials to come and work. The birth of animals and humans marks their enlistment into the army. They're being taken under arms and the start of their duties. Each living being is a joyful, regular soldier, an honest, contented official, and all voices are either glorification of God and the recitation of his names at the outset of their duties, and the thanks and rejoicing at their ceasing work, or the songs arising from their joy at working. In the view of the believer, all beings are friendly servants, amicable officials, and agreeable books of his most generous Lord, an all compassionate owner. Very many more subtle, exalted, pleasurable, and sweet truths like these become manifest and appear from his belief. If I should continue or stop here, we can maybe pause here because it's highlighted up to here, and then we'll come back to the other parts. So I've just read this section or this paragraph. If you have any comments, please feel free to jump in either now or as we go. There's a lot in this.
Adam, I can't hear you. I think our moderator is having a technical problem. He signed out and hopefully he will sign in again soon. Waiting for him.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. I don't know what happened. I had some technical issues. Okay. If it's all right, I'll continue. As for the other man, he is a believer. So let's start with this section and let's go through some interesting statements and try to make sense of how and why. First off, in his view, this world is an abode where the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited, a place of instruction for man and the animals, and a field of probation for man and jinn. That, to conclude at this level, is really the work, I think, of much that comes before and questioning what's happening here. So last week, again, there was, I think, a lot of emphasis put on this issue of questioning the source, the origination of the things going on. And it appears that this man is doing that because in his view, the world is an abode where the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited. So that means that what is happening here is even the word abode, it's as though like a place, like a particular setup place, which has been intentionally positioned so that the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited. How does, how does one conclude that? Because of seeing the meaning in the things, seeing what's happening, or seeing how the things themselves, I don't know, for example, All-Merciful One. Why All-Merciful One? It makes me maybe think about the notion of mercy and mercifulness relating to one's life and one's life here in this world. If something is alive, something is in existence, how can one explain that? There's no reason or necessity for anything to be here, or for many of the things that I see here, under not common, kind of cultural norms or something like that. Because maybe, in culture or in our normal way of seeing the things, we say, oh, this one should be here, or I should get food, or I should have these resources. But even go maybe more a step back further, something to exist itself, to exist here, nothing is necessary in this world that we see. There's no necessity for air. I mean, yes, we need to breathe. Yes, the creatures need to breathe, of course, but why should they even, that brings the question, why should they also exist? And why should it be put in this order? What I'm saying is that there is no deep or existential reason for something to necessarily exist, or I should say that the necessity of it is really in question, because the world doesn't have to be this way, but it's this way. So if it's this way, and if it's in an order in which we see, then wouldn't that indicate that if these small creatures that we see around us, or bigger, or even us, are here, and there's no necessariness for us being here, would this indicate that it's mercy, that there is something going on that indicates that there is mercy at work? Because I want to be here. All these creatures that I see want to be here. We love life. We run away from anything that brings death. We cringe from it. So we want it, but we don't have any real power, of course, to control, but even the existence of it, we are not the source of the existence of ourselves, nor the things around us. So my question then is, would this then necessitate the notion of an all mercy, or a all-merciful one that is at work, in a sense, or constantly bringing life to beings and things that are not necessary to exist, and have no power to control their own existence, and are of course infinite. I'm using these words, but I'm very needy. I have many issues and many challenges in my life, and I see the beings around me are constantly needy. Who's not needy? So isn't that mercy at work, or isn't that a kind of constant recitation of then, to see that that the things exist? What I see is a constant flow of existence of things which have no necessity in existence, and that are also being given constantly at so many levels. So can one not then conclude that there's an all-merciful one who is present, and who is not physically present, but because the things here don't have no power to control their own existence. So that one is present. Again, we're talking about unseen. So the issue is not the issue of what we see in the material form, but what we see as a conclusion. So I'll just pause for a second. Is this issue of All-Merciful One constantly recited, where the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Okay, hopefully you guys can all hear me. And if you have any comments, please jump in.
Yeah, I think yet it makes sense, but I feel that we have to go back to the very beginning of the paragraph. It is very interesting. It struck my attention. He says, as for the other man, he is a believer. Now, we have to understand that anybody cannot be a believer just like this. This reminds me a very important method employed in the Quran. Quran also speaks in this way. Actually, the author of this text is carefully following the method employed in the Quran, or practiced in the Quran. He uses the same kind of method. He says, for example, as he does here, he is a believer and continues. He recognizes and affirms Almighty God. Now, in order to become a believer, one needs to recognize and affirm the Creator. It means the unseen side of the world, meaning side of the world, what this word points to. Quran uses this method. It says, "O you who believe," as if belief is taken for granted. But afterwards, the Quran demonstrates what makes a person a believer, how a person can become a believer. Exactly this phrase here also reminds me the same method, imitating the Quranic method, if you like. He says he's a believer. It means the other man means, we have discussed this last week, there are not two people in this story, in this parabolic teaching, but two sides of one man, one person. The other side of the person, this other side of the person is ready to recognize and affirm the Creator of the universe, which means the universe points out, declares, openly demonstrates that it has a creator, it has a source of existence. So the human being has one side, acknowledges this. Yeah, why should I reject it? Because as Adam repeated a lot, actually, to attract our attention, that this universe cannot come into existence by itself. The order of the universe cannot come into existence by itself. Nothing in the world can organize its life. Nothing in the world has any consciousness. So we understand that there must be an agent behind it who is a conscious one and who demonstrates himself, his qualities, in the creation of this universe, which is called the names of All-Merciful One. Names means the qualities. Whatever we see here, we see that they have endless qualities, but we know that nothing comes into existence. These qualities cannot come into existence by themselves. So there must be an agent, a source of existence behind all this. And all these qualities must be the reflections, manifestations of this agent, of the qualities of this agent. So everything constantly recites. It means demonstrates, speaks to us. Everything constantly speaks to us that they cannot do how they exist. They cannot organize their existence, their qualities. They have no choice, no knowledge, no power by themselves. They are announcing it to human beings. We always give the example of a book. When we look at a book, of course, we see only the physical entity of the book. But when we look at it carefully, there are meaningful sentences on the pages of the book. And any sane human being and a reasonable human being cannot say that the book itself has, the pages of the book has written all these sentences. So a human being has two sides. One is ready to acknowledge what it can witness in the world and confirm it, rather than taking an obstinate, negative, reactionary attitude and rejecting it. It is possible. Human beings have free will. So this free will is really free. So it may say, no, I'm not going to accept it. It may say, and also human nature is given this quality to acknowledge what the reality is demonstrated out there and confirm it. Now, I think this side of the human being is studied here, and how we are going to be trained in this field of probation. In this field of probation, we are getting ready, we are prepared, we are trained, educated to get familiar with the unseen side of the world. It means unseen side, not physically to be seen, but human qualities intellectually, human feelings, human emotions, all human spirit, human soul can easily acknowledge the other side of the creation. It means when you look at the book, you can easily understand that although you don't see anyone present there, but the book has been written by a conscious, knowledgeable author. So as you read the book, you don't communicate, your eyes communicate with the page or pages of the book, but your intelligence, your human qualities communicate with the knowledge of the author. That is what the probation, the abode of probation, it means this universe is all about. It means we are here to communicate with the author of this universe, get to know him, get to know his qualities, because we have been given the qualities to communicate with the qualities manifested in this world. But we also are given the intelligence to understand that all the qualities, which is used here, the word names. Names means qualities, because the author keeps the Quranic word name, al-asma. So it is just the way of the author uses this kind of language in order to make the readers become more familiar with the language of the Quran, introducing the teachings of the Quran. That's why he keeps using the names. But in this culture, if you say the names, no one understands anything. No name of what? Of a person? Or are you talking about the name of an animal? Something like this. So we have to explain what he means by using the word name. So the qualities. So human beings are given the qualities to communicate with the qualities manifested in this creation, in this world, so that we will become familiar with the origin, the creator of this universe. We will introduce this universe, the qualities of the creator to our own soul, and our own souls will become familiar with the qualities of the Creator. That is why we are here, to become familiar, to become acquainted with the Creator of the universe. So we will become acquainted with our own Creator. Who brought us here? Why did He bring us here? So we will know, we will be sure what the source of our existence is, why we are here, what are we expected to do in this world. So we have to train ourselves during the period of our life on earth. So we better hurry, not to delay it, get to know our Creator. And when we are left here, when we are taken away from this world, definitely we will be facing our Creator. Here we are. I brought you here. And I am now your Creator in front of you. Did you get to know me? If I have not trained myself, educated myself, I would not be able to know Him. And I will be deprived of His mercy there. Now everybody is experiencing the mercy of the Creator in this world now, but those who acknowledge the source will be familiar with this, with the merciful Creator, and they will communicate together. But if someone denies it, they wouldn't be able to recognize, so they will be deprived of the mercy of the Creator. That is the first part of the paragraph I understood from the first part of the paragraph. I'm sorry, again, I spoke a lot. Please forgive me. Thank you.
Thank you, Jazakallah khair. That was really helpful. And yeah, you many points there that helped us. So the issue of, I think you covered, of course, the issue of looking at the things, trying to concluding. Well, first and foremost, you started with this issue of believer. I don't have to go through all the things you mentioned, but it's very good. It's very comprehensive. And I think then if we understood this, now as we start to look at the word believer, either in this text or, of course, if this is training, I believe it's training us to read the Quran. Then when we see this word now, it gives a new way to understand it. So let's see, about where would you have gone till in this text about you said the first part of the paragraph. So those who have completed their duties of life depart from this transient world for another happy, trouble-free world, so that place may be made for new officials to come and work. I think this is included. In what you have said. So in that, those who came here understood what was going on here, meaning that this was a place where the names were recited, the qualities were recited and have been given in order to communicate with that one. So they do their responsibilities here, or they get this out of being in this world, and then that probation period is finished and they can move on to the next place where they will apply or use, as you said, they are familiar now with this one. So that then must indicate why moving from this transient world for another happy and trouble-free world. But also so that place may be made for new officials to come and work. So new ones, new creatures coming into this world so that they will now also go through their experience and their education. The birth of animals and humans, their enlistment into the army. So they're being taken under arms and the start of their duties. The birth of animals, these human beings we see are all coming into life with the qualities necessary. This being taken under arms, it's an interesting phrase. It's a military-like example or phrase, but I understand maybe under arms meaning that they're given the qualities necessary for the start of their duties. And so they can now use these arms in their duties. Each living being is a joyful, regular soldier, an honest and contented official. So each living being is joyful because they are the means through which the names and the qualities are being manifested. They don't, they do some very meaningful work. So meaningful work results in joy from creatures. And they're regular soldiers, maybe they look to be regular, but they're honest, contented officials. And this honesty, I believe, relates to the issue of not interfering in the names or not interfering in the ownership of the qualities. They don't try to take ownership of anything here, saying that it's their qualities. There are some men that do that maybe, but generally the creatures we see here, especially from the animals and others, they're honest in their being the exhibitor of another's qualities. And so that's what I understand from this. They're contented officials, meaning that their work is meaningful, high work. It's official work. So we shouldn't minimize their duties or trivialize their duties. Oh, I'm sorry. I think there's questions. I don't know if there's somebody who...
Fariha cannot raise her hand as a co-host, but she uses other, she wants to speak, I think. I think she has to use this one. You understand the cause. The host and co-host cannot raise hands. They can just jump in. That's why we use this figure as I use now. Fariha, I think, wants to ask a question or make a comment.
Yes, thank you. If the moderator allows me, I can ask the question now, but I was trying to raise my hand with a little thumbs up. I don't know, it's not showing up. So anyways, I was just wondering about this word duties that the author is mentioning everywhere. And so I was wondering, what does it mean for me to complete a duty? So it seems that the way things are presented in the text and the way also as far as the comments that were given, as far as that we are all here like on a mission or something. And so we have something to do. It's just like being in a school and you are given assignments. And so when you complete your assignments, when you receive all the credits, then you get your degree or something. So what I'm trying to figure out is what does it actually mean for me to complete my duties here? If you can a little bit shed some light on that. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for the question. I think this paragraph, what we've been talking about, have been laying out some of these duties, the responsibility of human beings to know and to get to know and recognize and affirm, for example, in the first sentence, which is the start of, you know, everything else we discussed. So this recognition and affirmation issue is part of the duties. I understand. So coming into this world and using one's qualities. We have many qualities here. It's a human innate kind of sense that we have that, you know, you should use them. You shouldn't let them atrophy. It causes pain even, but I think as we study something like this, you can see that there's endless levels maybe of how far you can go. But I think the way in which we should go, using all the qualities that we have been given, is part of the duty. I think duty also in this text that we've read is referring to it being within certain time constraints, coming into life and the birth of animals and humans, and also some that are, and then the others who are taken out and ceasing their work, which means the duties, the time for duties, or this probationary period is over, indicates that there's a beginning and an end. So that's what I understand. Anyone would like to comment on this issue of duties?
Do you see the participants list?
I don't. I'm sorry. Okay, now I brought it up.
Yeah, you see some signs there that I think it is better if you can follow it. Otherwise, I can remind you.
Okay.
So, for example, I raised my hand.
I don't see anyone raising their hands.
Don't you see?
Right now?
Don't you see me raising something? Because I cannot raise hand. I just use this figure.
I see the arrow with the red.
Hamim, yeah.
With the thumbs up, like.
Yes,
Okay.
that is.
Gotcha.
That is host and co-host's request for hand up and wants to speak. I think we got
okay.
Technical thing. Okay.
Okay, I got it now. Yeah.
So if you agree, I can express my understanding of the text here that you read.
Yes, please.
Second, on the middle side of the middle of the paragraph, actually. So what actually this text is it's so strange, so funny. It is not very commonly used way of teaching. The author follows, as I mentioned earlier, follows the Quranic method. When the Quran, it means the speech of the Creator is presented to human beings, to this world. The Quran uses all the practical examples of the time that during the revelation period, the people were experiencing. That is why the Quran gives examples from the life conditions of the era where the Prophet first introduced the revelation to the people. All the examples are practical according to the time of the revelation, but the content of the speech of the Creator is universal. By definition, it must be universal. Why? If the Creator is speaking, he must speak to me with no time and space limitations, because He is the creator of the time and space with no boundaries. He is the creator of the universe as it is, from the beginning to the end, and no time limitations. But the examples gives of it is time. When the revelation was revealed, the examples are given from the life conditions of that time and that people's life, that geographical limitations. But we need to transfer it into our life, time and space conditions. Like this author, because this book has been written a century ago. It means really exactly 97 years ago. It was written in 1924. So 97 years ago, the education system was not very prevalent everywhere. Only certain privileged people used to have education in the institutionalized forms. So everybody was very much familiar with the army system, because everybody knew the army conditions, what being a soldier means, and they didn't have the negative connotation for the army concept, because that was the life conditions of the communities that time. Think about it, 1920s, just after the First World War and before the Second World War. The nation-state concept was not very well established at time, and the people were fighting with each other in order to gain their independence, independent administrative institutions. That was understandable during the life conditions of this time. But now, as we have to read the Quran according to the life conditions of our time, we have to transfer this example of the army and soldiers to our life conditions. Everybody is familiar with education system now. So when they come to this world, they are registered, enrolled to the roster of a school. And they are students now. Let's assume that the college life, the people come there and they have some duties. What are the duties? As a person, a human being, they have intelligence, they have the need to learn how to deal with the life conditions of this universe, and to learn what their existence means to them, so that they will learn something. But it is a limited period of time. They enroll the school. After 4 or 5 years, they leave the school so that new students will come. As Feriha pointed out, the students in the school, they have their duties. We understand that the duties of the student to learn, to do their assignments, but why they have to learn? Why do they have to do their assignments? Because they are human beings. They have to utilize and make all their human qualities to make progress in their humanity, in their human qualities. For example, why do I see? I have an eye, and I have a need to see, and I have the power of sight. I have to use it. That is how I am made. I have questions. I have human questions. What am I doing here? Why am I here? Who brought me here in this world? Why did somebody brought me here and taking me out of this world? What is going on? I cannot control my life. I cannot control my existence. Somebody is operating on me. Who is that? And I have so many qualities. I have to do something with them. What am I going to do with them? How can I make them improve? Because it is possible to improve. We are learning, and as we learn, we become more and more able to do the things, to realize what the reality of this world is. So my duty is to make my human qualities function better. Actually, Fariha pointed out these things. What I wanted to say only, this is the Quranic way of explaining what the teachings contain, so that the human beings will practice within their own life conditions. So my duty is to improve my human qualities so that I will become more and more aware of my reality as I can. Your video is on. The participants don't use the video, so thank you. So we will become more and more familiar. We improve our qualities so that we will become more and more familiar with the reality of my existence, which means I will become familiar with the qualities of the creator of the universe, so that I will be feeling secure in my existence. I belong to a one who creates the universe in such a way that demonstrates he is an absolute being. So his qualities also are absolute. They are manifested continuously in innumerable ways, with no contradiction, with no limitation. Here is the universe, perfectly functioning. Every creature has its unique characteristics, and although everything is different from the others, but they perfectly are functioning in harmony with each other. It demonstrates that the one who gives them existence has no limit. It is not finite. It must be infinite, which we call it absolute. So when I feel that I belong to an absolute one, he brought me here. He is going to take me out of this world. It means after my training, after my education, I will be graduating from this school of the universe. So graduation ceremonies, everybody is happy. As the work says, as the text says here, the songs arising from the joy at working, and also all the voices are here. All the voices are either glorification of God, and the recitation of his names at the outset of their duties. I marked out it as if the students are graduating, although you may say, look, you are going out of the school. Why are you happy? Why are you congratulating each other that you graduated from the college? Although you came here, enrolled with the school and paid for it, now you are going out of it, and then instead of feeling sorry or sad, you are happy. Of course, graduation is the moment of happiness, but graduating from the universe can be the moment of happiness or sadness, depending on the degree we get. If I get a good degree, it will be the source of happiness for me. If I fail to get a degree, it means if I have learned, if I have not educated, trained myself, if I have not done my duty properly, I will not get the degree. And graduation day will be a sad day for me. So depending on one's attitude, whether they have performed their duty of studentship or not, accordingly, for example, if someone has not performed their duty of studentship, what a student is expected to do, he has not learned anything. After leaving the school, he wouldn't be able to know anything, what to do, how to deal with this world. He wouldn't have any profession. That is why these people who have not prepared themselves, who are not preparing themselves for the graduation day, they will be so sad, not only during the graduation day, before the graduation day as well. Why? Because they know that they are not learning. And the future is obvious. After certain years, they will be taken away from the education system. And they know by their consciousness, they see, they understand the future. When the date comes, the time comes of graduation, they won't be ready to deal with the new life conditions. They feel always sad within themselves. I am not ready. I am not ready. The time is passing. The time is passing. Years are passing. I am not ready. Always feeling this sadness and this dreadful future expecting them, and living with the sadness, but trying to keep themselves busy with something else in order to forget it. But human consciousness never, ever forgets its reality, that the end of this education system, they will be not given the degree. It means they won't have any profession. They will be very sorry when they are dealing with the life conditions of the world outside the school, in other creation, in other life conditions. That's why, depending on one's preparation, if a person is a believer, it means recognizes and affirms the Creator and becomes familiar with him. He knows what he is going to expect him. He is going to receive him. He is happy, he is joyful, and he is very happy that he is going to leave this world so that he will be with the absolute Creator. He will be in his presence, and he will be experiencing his mercy in another type of creation, like after graduating. But of course, we are studying the believer's happy person's attitude. So the text only mentions the good news for the future of the believer. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Sister Freya, you asked the question. Do you have any follow-up thoughts about it, or how was that?
Alhamdulillah, this is good to digest. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah. Okay, so let's thank you. That actually was very helpful. I would maybe just add from my own personal experience in life, it's not just in the time of maybe closest to death, although this I think is included in what was said by Brother Ali. I think even in our decades, we feel that we are declining or ascending. And in fact, maybe even on a daily basis, you can even sense that. So, yeah, that's interesting. Actually, one point you mentioned really caught my attention. Human consciousness never forgets. And I don't recall the exact language you used, but I wrote down human consciousness never forgets its most responsible area. I don't know if that was accurate in depicting what you said, but that is a striking point, and how true it is, I'm still trying to understand. It seems true, and it seems to be the case, and so that gives a lot of validity and strength to to these points. So anyway, okay, should we go on then from there? And if you're okay with the same method I'm doing with the reading the text, I think now we are, I think we'll go to the last two sentences. Yes, thank you. The last two paragraphs.
I'm sorry to interject. I'm not sure if you saw my hand up before we go there, if possible. But if not, I can hold my question comment.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I have a really small laptop today. I can't see everyone on one screen, so I'm sorry. Please go ahead, HP.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interject. And I assumed that it was because you didn't see. I guess before we move on, along the lines of what's been said, I want to kind of circle back and maybe make a full circle as to what's been said and connect these concepts of the unseen, duty, man's duty, consciousness, and mercy. So in the text, in the paragraph that we've read today so far, as was mentioned, the author kind of makes a claim, and he says man is a believer, and then he kind of opens that up. What does that mean? The believer is one that recognizes and affirms Almighty God, and then he kind of opens that further up. So one who recognizes and affirms Almighty God is one who has a view of this world as an abode where the names of the All-Merciful One are constantly recited, a place of instruction for man. And it goes on as we've read. So within this kind of like opening up, expansion of the claim that the author is making, and in doing such a thing, he immediately addresses the transience of things. That's why he says, all animal and human deaths are demobilization, and it constantly goes back to this idea of things coming and going, and there being a meaningful purpose, a place of instruction, a place of duty for man. So on one hand, belief in the unseen being that, seeing the meaningful part of the existence, or meaning of existence, not meaningful part, which would imply that there is a meaningless part, but the meaning of existence of things. And eventually, in the way the author is kind of wording this, leading man to coming to a place or drawing his attention that he is in a place of instruction, a field of examination to perform duties to glorify God and give thanks, essentially. And along the lines of what I believe Brother Adam had said earlier, you know, getting like it, there are infinite, or the journey to kind of improve myself is unending, right? It's infinite, and getting to know the source of my existence by utilizing my human qualities is also one um, that is unending, that I can't say, you know, at this point I'll know the absolute, because that would be a contradictory statement. So I was thinking about how, like, this concept of mercy is kind of embedded into how, you know, the existence of the unseen being a mercy just by exist or being given existence, um, and then also having these, as Brother Ali was saying, having these human qualities, questions, this consciousness to be able to even, you know, enroll in the school to begin with, and then to be able to be given these qualities to enroll in the school, and to be given the opportunity or opportunities to perform the duty of studentship, and um, guidance on how to do such a thing, all being manifestations again of this, of the mercy of the All-Merciful One. Because otherwise, if I've been given all of these qualities and I know, like, I'm already tied to a sense of improvement and wanting to improve myself, but if I can't make sense of these qualities, or for what purpose should I improve myself? I know that I like to improve, but why? If I can't make sense of that, then that becomes an abyss of meaninglessness for me. Whereas the fact that what I can get to know is also absolute is also a sense of, gives me a sense of relief and is a mercy upon me, because it's not like my unending abilities look to an unending um, um, source that I can get to know continuously. So it's not like, you know, in May I'm going to finish all that I have to know, from one aspect, and as far as like the education or the educating part of myself is concerned. So and so yeah, basically, like, what I was thinking about is how every aspect of this place being, or my own existence being, a sort of question for me to figure out, and the way that it's kind of set up for me, that I find myself with this consciousness, that I find myself with these questions, and um, being a sort of mercy, along with the existence of the meaning in existence being a mercy, and that I'm able to, that I'm given guidance on how to derive or have access to or see this mercy, this meaning being mercy. And so basically, maybe in a nutshell, the ability to be a student, to have the tools to be a student, or whatever it is, like books and consciousness and everything, and being able to enroll, having someone help me enroll, everything kind of looking to this mercy um, that is part of the uh, unseen, or the meaning in existence. I guess. I hope that kind of made sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ashweza. So what I understood from your comments is that these are all complementary things. These are all ordered one with each other, so that it fits perfectly. That's what I got. Is that concur with what you're saying?
Yes, thank you. very succinct online.
Oh, thank you, Jazakallah khair. No, yours is helpful. Thank you. What you said is nice. Okay, let's go to the last two paragraphs then. That is to say, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. That is to say, belief in God bears the seed of what is in effect a tuba tree of paradise, while unbelief conceals the seed of a zakum tree of hell. That is to say, belief in God bears the seed of what is in effect a tuba tree of paradise, while unbelief conceals the seed of a zakum tree of hell. That means that salvation and security are only to be found in Islam and belief. In which case, we should continually say, praise be to God for the religion of Islam and perfect belief. That's the end of the second word. The first part here, let me just make sure. And by the way, if I don't see you get your hand up, please chime in. Like I said, I have a small screen. Can't see everything on one screen. So, the first part, this is to say that belief in God bears the seed of what is in effect a tuba tree. The issue of belief, I don't think has been explicitly mentioned until now. But what I think is, if I recall correctly, the beginning of this text uses the verse, and those who believe in the unseen. So the word of belief now has come back to the text, to us in this text. What I think we've read up till now and studied and discussed has been the issue of belief. And so yeah, so I'm just getting confused in case we're pointing to something, but okay. So that is, so this issue of belief now is coming and maybe concluding. Belief is what is the result of this. I'm not call Baba. And that there is a seed. So I think it was discussed, Brother Ali made this comment saying that what you became familiar with in this world will be reflected and manifested in the next world. What you had assurance of in this world, what you concluded and became sure of in this world then allows you to have its use in the next world. I think that relates to this sentence here. Belief in God bears the seed of what is in effect a tuba tree of paradise. I don't know exactly, but in the Quran, this use of the tuba tree is used, and here metaphorically speaking, here also I understand it's a metaphor. It is it's a tree, although both are trees. The zakum tree is of hell, but the tuba tree of paradise, it's the what sprouts out of the seed that you have laid here. It's very simple. You establish the seed here. If one follows the points and method we've been discussing, lays the seed, then he will see it there in the tuba tree. Also, alternatively, then if someone conceals. So it uses, it's interesting language on the second part, while unbelief conceals the seed of a zakum tree of hell. I think the issue of concealing has to do with unbelief. Unbelief covering up, not not letting it manifest. That's, I think, the point of concealing, because when you lay a seed, even if it's a bad seed, it needs to grow. But the unbelief, the notion of unbelief is covering what's going on. So this concealing of a seed, maybe the concealing of the right seed. And so when you do that, it causes the Zakum tree of hell. The point is that the concealing issue, not being open or being honest about what's going on and covering up, leads to what is described here as hell. Hamim, please go ahead.
No, thank you. Now I understand that this is the conclusion, the text, the part of the text we read today. And it says, believe in God. It means believe in the unseen. Bears the seed of what is, in effect, a tuba tree of paradise, which means, believe means believing in God. Believing in God means understanding, making sure, making certain that I belong to an absolute being. So all my human qualities also belong to this absolute being. All my human expectations are given to me by this absolute being. So these expectations are going to be satisfied by the one who created them within my own being. So what makes this understanding while I am living in this world makes me feel that I am always together with my creator, who is the absolute being. What does it mean? As long as I exist, as long as these qualities exist within me as a human being, that means my creator is always with me, creating how I am now. Because I cannot continue, I cannot carry on my existence to the next day. Every day, every moment, my existence is given to me by the absolute being. That is belief. So, of course, usually we hear, not always, but generally speaking, we hear that if you believe in God, you will be rewarded in the hereafter. It means after you die, you will be rewarded with paradise. It is symbolized the tuba tree of paradise, which means everything exists in paradise is a means of satisfaction for you. It means the new creation in paradise will satisfy all of your expectations, human expectations. Of course, excuse me, the most important of is, I have to be happy forever with no end. And this happiness should have no limit. That is the tuba tree in the language of the Quran, which means source of satisfaction. But belief while I am living in this world is the seed of this tree, which means every seed contains all the qualities of the tree within itself in a potential way. In a potential way. Like the human cell has all these DNA structures, and we know that the creator has already written the, if you like, project of the future creation, letting us know that he knows what is going to create. His knowledge is encompassing what will happen in the future for us. Of course, for the creator, there is no future, there is no past. It's absolute. For the absolute, for the infinite, there is no time limit or space limit. So he shows us that what he is going to create is within his knowledge. It is his project that prepares us what we are going to expect in the future to be created for us, for human beings. So belief is a seed of paradise. What does it mean? While I am here, if I acknowledge and if I confirm my source of existence and I become aware of his qualities through my qualities given to me, using them as tools, then I will know that what the future will bring to me. So if you know that, for example, tomorrow you are going to be given what you are expected, what you have been expecting to get, before you get it, you start feeling happiness of expectations of the future creation. So while we are living in this world, if we acknowledge the creator of the universe and ourselves, then we know what will happen in the future, and we start feeling the happiness of this meeting, if you like, meeting with my creator. Now I am in this world in the form of a creature within the conditions of this world, but I will be taken away from this world after graduating from this world. Then I will be practicing how I learned in this world, whatever I learned in this world. So while I am in this world, I experience the pleasure of paradise. Unbelief also has the same thing, same attitude. Conceals the seed of Zakkum, tree of hell. It means unbelief means not accepting, not confirming the reality of this universe, which the universe points to, demonstrates to us. We say, no, physical existence, if someone says, or prefers to say, physical existence of this universe is enough in itself. That's how it is. It doesn't point to anything. It doesn't demonstrate any quality of anything else. Just it itself is like this, and I am also a lump of meat and bones and blood or whatever, in a physical body, and I have my senses, but when I die, everything will disappear. Everything will go into non-existence. Of course, human consciousness is aware of the future. So every moment this person, because he didn't believe in what the universe points to, it means he didn't believe in the unseen. He says, I am going to go into non-existence, disappear from existence forever, finish. Whatever he experiences in this world may be happiness, but he knows that it is passing immediately, and we cannot grasp, we cannot get hold on to the past. It is gone, and it is gone forever. And the future is expecting me to annihilate, to send me into non-existence. So I am in between two unknown, non-existent field of existence. It means the future, my seed, the example of seed, is not going to give me any fruit, any benefit, because rotten seed doesn't grow into a tree. Why rotten? Because unbelief cuts off all sorts of veins of life in one's life, in one's being. No hope for the future. It's not going to grow into anything else. I am going to disappear from existence. That's why my understanding, if a person doesn't believe in the unseen, doesn't believe in God, then he sees that he's not going to have a bright future. He's going to disappear from existence. The seed of his understanding is not going to grow into a fruit-bearing tree. Fruit-bearing tree. Nothing will grow out of it. That is the contradiction between belief and unbelief. One is aware that he is going to meet the source of its existence, who is absolute being. The other one is expecting that when he dies, he is going to disappear from existence forever. And they experience both of these attitudes, experience the content of their attitudes while they are living in this world. Not after I die that I will go to hell or paradise. That is correct. But while I am living, even in this world, I will experience the result of my attitude right now. As the student example who doesn't learn anything, let's say he is in the second year of his college studies. He has not learned anything in the first year. He is not learning anything in the second year. He's not developing his human qualities. He's not improving his knowledge. Does he not know that after the fourth year, he won't be able to practice anything? He won't be able to get any profession while he is in the second year? Of course he does. Consciousness tells what happened in the past, what will happen in the future, while I am living right now, here, in the second year of my education. Although I am an old guy, I am a senior year student now in this universe, but you are mostly the second year sophomore students of this universe. So be careful. You feel what will happen to you at the end. This feeling will have an impact on your human side, whether you will be expecting a bright future, a fruit-bearing tree expecting you, or a rotten seed is not going to grow into a tree at all. No future. Another belief in the source of hope now, unbelief in the source of despair now. That's what the text is trying to teach us. Thank you.
Michelle, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I just want to check. That was, first of all, very, very good, very powerful points. Well, I want to check in on time. Do we end at this time, or do we still have some more time?
1 o'clock is the deadline, but you always play a few minutes before and after.
Okay.
Now, 1 o'clock is the expected end time up.
Okay, why don't we finish then this last sentence in maybe a minute or two? that means that salvation and security are to be found in Islam and belief, in which case we should continually say, praise be to God for the religion of Islam and perfect belief. I don't know, Brother Ali, in your comments, did you cover this part, or we may need to discuss it further? But I think it's a closing.
Yeah, I didn't cover it because I didn't feel the need for it. The reason is everybody knows that everybody here is aware that Islam, the religion of Islam, which is presented to us through the Quran and the prophet who brought the messenger of God who brought this message to us, teaches what we had discussed. So we have to be thankful that we learned all this from the source of Islam, which is the Quran. So we learned from it. And the Quran always encourages us to have belief. It means take notice of the unseen side of the creation. Belief means recognizing, as the text briefly said, recognizing and affirming Almighty God. It means unseen side of the creation, what the creation points to. Islam teaches this clearly with no confusion. There is one creator and that's it. And he is the absolute being. All the rest of the things are his act of creation. So this clarity, this uncomplicated, non-complicated presentation of believing God makes us feel comfortable to confirm what the Quran teaches us. So we have to be thankful for the source which taught us this way of understanding our existence. That's why we have to say, praise be to God for the religion of Islam and perfect belief. I think everybody is aware that this is what Islam teaches us in a nutshell. Thank you.
That's excellent. It's very beautiful. Thank you. Jazakallah khair. Let me then turn it back unless there's any other questions or comments from the group. Anyone has any, please? Otherwise, I will turn it back to you, Brother Ali, for closing prayers.
Can you not do that, please? So for a change.
Okay, sure.
Okay, please go ahead.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Thank you all. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعوانا أن الحمد لله رب العالمين بسر سورة الفاتحة.
Inshallah, I'll see you all next Monday and next Saturday. We will continue, inshallah. If anybody is free, they can join us to our Saturday and Sunday afternoon discussions. We continue this kind of discussions starting at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.